only a draw in the Premier League, but Arsenal score in the proposed European Super League. Where do you stand on this trade-off? George and me are on different sides. Football fans, welcome to the April 19th edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. I am your host, Shotta, together with my usual partner, Blackburn George, the Ars blogger. Stay tuned for more. Blackburn George, my friend, how are you post Fulham? Shocked or surprised at that result? Your take, my friend.
A little bit surprised. I thought we were going to win quite comfortably, but not at all shocked. What was shocking was the standard of play. Both teams. Although I have to say that I thought we probably deserved to win it. Never mind get something out of the game, because for whatever they did wrong, there certainly was no lack of effort and endeavour. And they kept going and they kept being positive. I mean, at several points in the game, every Arsenal player was in the opposition's half, including the fucking goalkeeper playing as a sweeper.
Yes.
So, you can't say they didn't try. And in the end, he was a big factor in contributing to the final goal, even.
Yes.
So
he had a nick on the free kick, apparently.
Yeah.
The corner, I'm sorry, when it came back over, he had a nick. The goalkeeper, that is, our goalkeeper.
Yeah, he got a nod on, didn't he?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to.
You have a call there coming in, George.
Oh, I know. It could be somebody selling window double glazing or something. Nobody actually rings me for anything.
Yeah, they always call you when we're on the podcast. But go ahead, George. So, you thought we were positive. In fact, I think we had 61% possession, 39% for them. We had a ton load of shots, like 17. I'm going by memory now. I can bring up the website. But we outplayed them in general. Possession-wise, shot-wise, chances, shots on target, all those key metrics, George.
Yeah, well, we're Arsenal Football Club, and they're Fulham, and they're relegated, basically. So we should be outplaying them. Mm-hmm. That it shouldn't come as a shock to us when we can outplay Fulham and Sheffield United in consecutive games.
Listen to these stats, George. 69% versus 31. 18 shots versus 3. 11 corners versus 1. That's as overwhelming as you can get it. You want to add anything to that? Because I want to make an observation, by the way.
Well, I don't know if you got the stats up. How many shots were on target?
5 on target for us, 1 on target for them. And we had 8 off target, obviously.
5 shots on target for us against Fulham at home.
It's not great.
It's not. See, it's twice as many as normal, but normally we don't, if we're saying 2 and 3 shots has become the normal now, then we're in trouble, aren't we, if that's what we've come to.
I think we had 5 shots on target against Slavia Prague, which is, as I said before the game, and from the first game, that is a very poor championship team. And in the end, we had 39% possession? Anyway, I don't want to... The point I'm trying to make is that that's kind of normal for us. Our shots on target is no longer in the teens, or in the double figures. Let's put it that way.
No, everybody was pleased with the performance against Slavia Prague, and so was I. At one point, near the beginning of the game, when we went on that 3-goal blitz, it was marvellous. It was like days of old. But it wasn't a scintillating performance at all.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Well, George, I know you're on a phone call, but the thing that amazes me, George, is that,
Oh,
and I'm going to put you on pause because you have a phone call going on at this moment.
right.
Just a moment, people. Yeah, back to you, George. You're saying that after we went 3-up, you felt you were about to say something about it.
Yeah, I was disappointed, really. It was mundane stuff, wasn't it? And people saying, oh, we controlled the game. Well, to me, controlling the game is having the football and not letting the opposition play. Maybe curtail your attacking instincts a little bit and hold the ball more. That would be controlling the game. Sitting back and giving them possession and letting them attack at will isn't controlling the game. It's keeping them out.
Yes.
So I wasn't impressed with it at all, the second half. But it's hard to be critical when you've won 4-0. People just say, well, only the results matter. And for why are you complaining about 4-0? Well, they were pretty poor. I mean, they were very poor in the first game, and they were even worse in the second. So, again, beating Slavia Prague, well, we should be. For goodness sake, we have a different class of players.
Yes.
Different quality altogether. It's like entering a Group 1 horse in a Group 4 race, and it wins by 3 furlongs, and you start patting yourself on the back. Not for me. But anyway, I don't want to go on at all.
Yes,
People get upset when you cry about beating cannon fodder. Yes. And I saw on Twitter people say, "Oh, look at the home record, the fantastic home record that they have." Let us not forget the majority of those home games are teams even worse than them in their league.
Exactly. I mean, we destroyed Sheffield United the week before. So, which is a team that is pretty much relegated. And
well, it is relegated.
That was confirmed. I wasn't so sure. George, there are people who refuse to acknowledge that we are not at the level we should be. I mean, I just happened to, because I was ill, I watched all those quarterfinal games in the Champions League. And I mean, it was different gravy. I mean, I saw PSG holding off Bayern Munich to retain their their home advantage. And George, I mean, these are great players who were able to hold the ball even under the greatest pressure. And I mean, when you contrast that, it's kind of unfair. But that is the level we used to compete at. I mean, those guys would steamroll over us at the way we're playing today. But we're going to be rewarded by getting into the Super League, which we'll come to in a minute, George. I would like to suggest to the listeners, and we have a few loyal listeners, and I thank you very much, and I really respect you to hear me and George rant week after week. But I think we have a different story to tell. And here's the story, George. You cannot consider yourself a big team playing small ball. You remember that, George, saying, George? Playing like a little team. And that's what we do. We play like a little team. The observation I made yesterday is that we no longer play one-touch ball. Everybody needs 2-3 touches. I don't know if you saw, only in about 2 instances, 2 sequences in the entire match yesterday against Fulham did we play one-touch ball for any sustained period. Early in the first half and somewhere in the middle of the second half, we play like a mid-table team. I don't know if you observe that, but that's not. I fail to see how that is progress. Your thoughts on that, George?
Well, it isn't progress, is it? And people will give you the excuse saying, "Oh, well, you can't play one-touch football if you haven't got the players." Well, tell Bielsa that.
Yes, exactly.
It's about drilling it into them how they play. I mean, like I said, I thought we played with a good tempo.
Yes.
Towards the end of the second half, trying throwing caution to the wind. And this is another thing I noticed, that these comebacks that we have, like when we were 3 down against West Ham yesterday, seems to be when the players throw the tactics out the window and start just playing football. When they're following instructions, it's also slow and predictable, and like you say, 2-3 touches and going back to the keeper, and it drives me. Well, I was watching Mohamed El Neni yesterday.
Yeah.
And I like Nen. I like Mohamed. He seems about as nice a bloke as you could get in football. Yeah. He's happy to be at Arsenal and he loves the club, but he plays with his back completely to the goal. When he receives the ball, 9 times out of 10, and I'm not exaggerating, 9 times out of 10, he simply passes the ball back to the guy who's giving it to him.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. It drives me wild. There's nothing on the half turn. There's no balls round the corner. It's bloody awful. And then the guy who gets it back has to find somebody else to pass to. And then they might pass it to El Neni, and he passes it back to the original guy. And it's just like we're playing triangles in our own half.
Right.
It's nowhere. There's no risk-taking. There's no invention. And I think it's because they're doing what they're told.
Of course they are.
They're not making these. Granit Xhaka, yes, playing at left back.
I was. Yeah. I mean, George.
He's a good player. He can play anywhere, probably. Playing central defence.
Yeah, but do you expect him to overlap, George? Do you expect him to go to the byline?
Yeah.
Do you expect him to?
He's not going to be doing that, is he? And I noticed something else I noticed as well. When we were completely dominating at the end and creating chances, he had left the left-back position and moved right into the centre spot.
Yes.
The centre circle. He was in the centre circle playing.
By instinct. George.
He's been there all the game. That's his position. He's our best central midfield player.
Yeah.
And just because we can beat Slavia Prague and fucking Sheffield United with him playing at left back doesn't mean he should be playing at left back. You play your best central midfield player in centre mid.
I mean, that young fella, De Cordova-Reid, gave him a warm time coming at him because the fella is young, he's quick. I mean, I wish he had a little bit more about him. His crossing is not very great, but he gave Xhaka a warm time. You know, George, again, people are going to say you're just picking on the team, but I sense that once Fulham found they could get amongst us, that they could retain the ball some more, that they could tackle us and be on top of us, right, and not make our life comfortable. You began to see midway through the first half that the tide was shifting. And, if they had a little bit more about them, if they had a better goal scorer, and the guy Marja apparently they brought in, and he scored a penalty, which was a good penalty, by the way. But if they had a little bit more about them, they could have been, they could have scored an upset. And what I'm trying to tell people is suggest the people. Yes. Yes.
Fulham are relegated, basically.
Yes.
And they've created more chances this season than Arsenal.
God, you're right. That tells you. That's it. They created through that midfield.
That's not how good they are. That's how fucking bad we are.
Well, I like to look at the little guy. Look, man, he was injured, but I love the look of him, by the way. Just saying.
Well, yeah, but 5'5", you don't want him as a left back, do you?
No, he's a central midfielder.
Lookman, yeah. Sorry, I thought who's that kid that they have?
So, George, St. Totteringham's Day, which is my good friend Shard's main objective for the season, looks further away. I see Jose was sacked.